Hey, this is Ken at Capital Advantage Tutoring. I think I need a shave, but whatever. Welcome to, we're going to have 4 questions that we're going to go over that are like questions you'll see on the exam, on the Series 7 exam, to be exact. This will help you. Let's get back into it. If you see these kind of questions, you remember something. The questions are never really that hard. I mean, yes, there's going to be some hard ones, but I want you to think of it like, oh, I can get through these. I can work through these. So these questions will be difficult, but you can work through them and then work through them. Just be confident. Because if you go in there lack of confidence, you're going to see her question, go, oh my God, I'm not ready. And I'm proof. Or if you go in there confident, go, you know what? I think I can get this. Let me, even if I have to move it to the review, come back to it later, I can work on this. I can get it. So that's what we're going to work on, some good questions. Okay, so here's the first question, okay? So you look at this and go, oh my God, what the hell's going on? So let's read it together and get through it. Now you can press pause, work on it, and then we can work together. But here we go, press pause. Okay, we're back. ABC customer instructs his register rep to sell 4 calls against his position of 600 shares of ABC and to enter a stop order to sell 300 shares of ABC at a price of $25. ABC declines at 23. The stop order is elected or executed. And as a result, what happens to the customer's position? What do we have after that? So read that again, go through it, and then we'll walk through it. There we go. Now, let's walk through how I would do this. First, I would write down, after I cry in the corner about what this, I would write down, what do I think of? I write down what we have. So we start off with, we own 600 shares, and then we're also short 4 calls. Doesn't matter the price, I don't care. Now, that means I have 4 covered calls and 200 shares free. So if I broke this down, again, you wouldn't have to do all this, but I will. So you're going to own 400 shares, short 4 calls, right? So those are all 4 covered calls. That's good. And you also own another 200 shares on top of it, right? That are free and clear. So you could break this down, right? So this really, this 600 shares with 4 calls is really 4 cover calls and 2 free, basically shares that are unburdened by signing a call. That works. Now what happened is, now, so I'm going to go, just so we can understand that I am getting rid of that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now, what happens? We do a stop order to sell 300 shares. So now it gets executed. So we now sell 300 shares. So now we only own 300 shares and we're still short 4 calls. Nothing happened there. So now what do we have? So we own 600 shares before, we sold 3, we leave 3. Now we also have 4 calls. So if you broke this down, same way, that means you have 300 shares. Well, let's say you own 300 shares and 4 calls on 300 shares. And then you're short, we'll say 3 calls against, right? Because that's against that. 3 calls, 1-to-1. And then we have 1 naked call, naked, uncovered call. 1, we're short. I should write it the right way. Short 1 call. That's free and on its own, naked. So now after the fact, so we own 600 and we had 4 calls. Then we sold 300. Now we have 300 covered calls and 1 naked call. So let's see if we can find that. Uncovered on 300, no, that doesn't work. The uncovered on 400 doesn't work. So between B and D, again, oh, well, we're not covered on 4 because it doesn't work. We now own 300 shares. There it is, covered on 300 shares and uncovered on 1. Boom, so there's the answer. So the answer is B on this because we're now covered on 300 and uncovered on 100. See, I always try to break it down and try to do it that way because if you can picture it, then you can make it work. Okay, that works. Let's move on. Okay, here's the next one. ABC has 2 million shares of stock outstanding and is about to issue 100,000 additional shares. The corporate charter grants preemptive rights, which they almost all do. A customer owning 200,000 shares in ABC is not really worried about a whole lot of shit. He's a rich person. Will receive which of the following? Now, so you look at this first, take a look at it, press pause. Welcome back. I felt like it was eons waiting to come back. So you have 2 million shares of stock outstanding. So that's how many is outstanding. We issue another 100,000. So first, let's do this. How many rights are we going to get? Well, we own 200,000 shares, so we're going to get 200,000 rights. Correct. So we now have 200,000 rights because we get 1 right for every share we own. So that makes sense. So now we know that we can throw out 2 of these. We know A and B are out. I love knocking shit out. So now I have a 50-50 shot. Now there's a couple ways to look at this. One, you can cheat Actually, no, we're going to do the right way, and then I'll show you the cheaty way. So first of all, 2 million outstanding, and we issue another 100,000. So if we did a handy dandy calculator and we did 100,000 divided by 2 million, we're going to get 5%. So that means that means they issued 5% more. That means we will get 5% more. So then you do 200,000 times 5%. That's 10 grand. That's all it is. That's how many more shares you get. So you get 200,000 rights, and that'll turn into 10 shares. That's one way to do it. Okay. There's the cheaty way is this one. If it comes down to this, if you're down to 2, well, you know that they issued 2 million and they only issued 100,000. So that's not the same number. It's like if you kind of finagle a little bit, it's like half. It's not 10%, it's 5% because these two numbers don't match. So you won't have the same amount as you have. So it can't be this. So like you can almost knock out that one and this one because it has to be less because you're issuing less than 1%, less than 10%. So it has to be this one. I did it the other way where you get 200,000 rights, they issue 5% more. You're going to increase by 5% because remember, the preemptive right is letting you maintain your percentage ownership. So you're going to go up the same percentage as they issue. So if they issue 10%, you can go up 10%. You have 20%, you can go up 20%. You can choose to, you don't have to. So what can you do with the right? You can exercise it. You can sell it in the market. You can give it as a gift. You cannot give it back to the company. You can even let it expire, even though that's moronic. You can, it's your choice to give it away. Now, remember, you're not going to get the shares for free. You are going to exercise the rights and get 10,000 more shares to keep your percentage ownership. Wunderbar. I love it. Awesome. Okay, now we're on this again. Now you're noticing that they look hard, but they're not so bad. Okay, so we're going to get through this. So here we go. Press pause. Okay, we'll come back. 5 years ago, a customer purchases 1,000 shares of XYZ stock for a total of 25 grand. 1 year ago, the company split the stock 3 for 2. XYZ announced that next month they will pay a cash dividend of 20 cents a share. What is a customer's cost basis per share and the dividend he can expect to receive? Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay, so now let's get into it. I wonder what they would tell me to do. Let's see. There we go. That looks better. Less embarrassing. So now, first you have to find out what the original cost basis is. You don't have to, but I like doing it. So you're going to take the total value we spent divided by the number of shares. So we're going to do 25,000 divided by 1,000. Yes, use your calculator. Even though you can figure it out, it's going to be $25 a share. So we really bought 1,000 shares at 25 bucks. That's our original cost basis. Now, they then decided to do a 3 for 2 stock split. Let's hang out. Let's do that. How do we do a stock split? 3 for 2. You do 3 divided by 2. That's how I do it. That gives me 1.5. And I'm going to multiply. I take that number and I multiply times the shares. 1,000 times 1.5. That would give me 1,500. Okay. And then I would take the same 1.5. Let me grab it. And I do 25 divided by 1.5. That should give me 16.6. Repeating, so we'll call it 16.67. I think you know where we're going here. Okay, so now we know we have 1,500 shares at 16.67. So our new position is 1,500 shares at 16.67. Pretty easy, we got that. So we know right away, well, nope, not that one. We know that that one and that one are no good. Because remember, forward split, more shares worth less. So the price has to be lower. But you could have looked at that anyway, but you really want to do the math no matter what. Now, the question is, what comes next? We pay a cash dividend of 20 cents a share. So you're going to do, how many shares do we have? 1,500. We're going to do 1,500 times 0.2 equals 300. So we need 300 bucks. So that's the answer here. So you do 1,500 times 20 cents. And if they don't say quarterly, just assume it's annual unless they say multiply by 4. So it's going to be, it should be A as in apple. A as in apple, A as in avocado, A as in A. Okay, so it's going to be, you're going to get the new cost basis is 1667, and we're going to get $300 in dividends because we have 1,500 shares. Now you could have, again, you could have ballparked it, right? You could have fucked around and done this. Okay, we know that. Here's the deal on this. If you knew that they originally had 1,000 shares and they get 20 cents, you know that's 200 bucks. And since you have more shares, it couldn't be either one of these. So you could have done that. It couldn't be B or C because it's 200 shares, $200, and it would have been, that would have been out of the 1,000. Again, you don't have to do this. The other way works just as well. But sometimes if time is of an essence, you're gonna you may want to cheat around a little bit. So then we can knock shit out. We can knock out the $200, both of them, because if it's 20 cents out of 1,000 and we have a stock split, you know it has to be more than that. And then the next one is, well, then it has to be one of the lower ones. So it has to be lower. Once you get this cost basis, it has to be this one, because a forward stock split means the shares go up, the prices go down. So it has to be this. It can't be that. So all three is get knocked out literally by elimination. Okay, that's two. See, they look hard, but they're actually not all that difficult as long as you can work through it. And you may not understand this right away, but just keep practicing this stuff and you'll get it. And just remember, always go in there thinking, I can beat this fucking thing and I can find an answer. This is one of my favorite questions. A customer has become very bearish and believes his ABC shares are going to sell off significantly. The customer wants the RR to recommend an aggressive investment strategy that will be most profitable when the sell-off happens. Which of the following recommendations offers the customer the greatest return if he is correct? Okay, so remember, they're looking for the greatest return. Okay, so first of all, we can do a lot of things, but remember, bottom line, he owns the shares. He or she owns the shares, okay? So we have, doesn't matter, we own 100 shares, so just pretend, own 100 at 40, whatever. That means I own it. So I think it's going to be bearish. So let's do this. So if I sell calls, yeah, that could be bearish, but I don't get a lot of return on that, right? So if I sell calls, I'll get the premium, but I'm going to throw that out just because I don't like it very much, because I think it's too restrictive that I can only make the premium. That's not aggressive. So I'm going to throw that out. Now, I always like to get one or two out of the way before I do any kind of math, because sometimes I got three out of the way and I can move on. Buy ABC calls and sell puts. So that's bullish and bullish. So that's two fucking bull things. So I'm going to throw that out. That's gone out the window. Now, that would between buy ABC puts and buy puts and sell the stock. So if I own the stock, now watch this. If I own the stock, and let's just say I buy 35 puts at 4. Okay, so we do that. Let's say the stock goes down to 20. Let's say the stock goes down to 20. That's a significant sell-off. That's a big one. Like usually when I buy stock, that's what happens. So you bought the stock at 40, it goes down. Oh, you're losing money, but you get to sell it at 35 because you bought a put. You lose 5 plus 4, you lose 9. Well, that doesn't seem very fucking aggressive. That seems like you're just hedging yourself against a loss. So I don't like that one. So I think just buying a put against my stock position only hedges me. That means I'm still bullish. So right away, I know that it's C, but let's walk through this. Oh, I don't want to do that yet. I buy this, own the stock. Now, instead of owning the stock and selling the put, I'm going to sell the stock and get rid of it. Just, that's what it says, sell the stock. So boom, I don't own the stock anymore. Now, all I own is a 35 put. Now, if we did this, well, what would happen? I would have a break even of 31, right? And I'm bearish. The stock went down to 20, I would make $11. Wow. So if I keep the stock and buy the puts, I lose 9 because I'm hedging. But if I dump the shares and buy puts, I'm actually aggressively betting on it going down, so I can make $11. Now, just so you all don't know my way of doing options, which is very easy and super duper stupendous. Okay. Let's just do it this way. You buy 35 put at 4. It goes down to what I say, 21, goes to 20. You get to buy the stock at 20 and immediately sell it at 35. So you make 15, but you spent 4 minus the 4 equals 11. So either way, you make $11, okay? So the best answer here is letter C, because if you just buy the puts, you're just hedging your long position, okay? But if you dump your stock and buy the puts, you're betting on a downward movement. So the answer has to be C, as in karaoke. Haha, that's K. C as in California. C as in convertible. C as in Charlie. C as in cat. So it's going to be C. I'm right. Okay. Guys, that is 4 good questions that should help you. And here's the thing on that. If you do this, right, and you see these questions, you don't want to just be this going, I don't know what's happening. You want to actually take care of it. You want to try to work through it. Just going, I don't get it. Maybe what you do is, instead of saying, all you're going to do is you're going to go back and you're going to try to just figure this shit out. And that's how you become a baller. I love it. You all have a good night. See you every Tuesday and Thursday night on the 2 Review, 8:30 p.m., my live Q&A, the chaotic shit show. Y'all.